Hi everyone, I'm going to show you a slightly more complicated example of Google Apps Script. This example is a Google Sheet. It's tied to a Google form, and this Google form is something that a lot of administrators use in our district when they're visiting classrooms. They'll enter some observations about what they see in the classroom and some feedback comments, hopefully positive feedback comments for a teacher. They can put this on in the Google form while they're walking through the classroom, or maybe right after they leave. They'll kind of do it on their cell phone in the hallway and then hit submit. The script takes that information from the Google form, takes it off of the Google spreadsheet, and then uses that information to compose an automatic email and sends all that information via email to the teacher. In real time, within a minute or two, the teacher generally receives their email. And then, since the teacher receives this email, it comes from the administrator's email address, which is really cool because then the teacher can just hit the submit button. The reply button, and they can have a little conversation with the administrator. So it's a great coaching tool, great way to put some positive interactions into the day when everybody's really busy. But there's no paper involved, so there's nothing to get lost, or you don't have to like walk over to somebody's desk or walk over to their mailbox or anything like that. It's all really quick and easy. Um, so what does it look like? What does the code look like? Well, we have the example for you. We've been running this exact script for several years in our district. It took a lot of like bug detection and like tweaking to get this thing to work right. And if you're a professional coder, you're probably looking at this code and you're like horrified at how inefficient it is. And it's not. This is not the most elegant way to code this at all, um, especially because we have the names of the teachers and their email addresses actually included in the code. Um, but we did that purposefully so that other people, maybe who are not coding experts, could edit this code pretty easily. We even have some principals in the district who will open this up and edit it themselves. Like, for example, when they have a change in staff, maybe a teacher changes names or a new teacher's hired, they can actually figure it out. They can actually copy the whole line and paste it. They can change the name, they can change the email address. So it's easy to make adjustments without really having a lot of coding knowledge. They just have to know some of the basics of Google Apps Script. Okay, so let me show you how this works. I'm going to copy all of the code. There's about 100 lines of code here. Some of our larger campuses, it could be more like 200 lines of code because you have so many teachers and so many email addresses to include. But I'm going to hit copy. And then I'm going to sneak over here to a copy of my spreadsheet template. And I will go to App Script to open my script editor. And now I'm going to hit paste all those lines of code. There's my orange dot. That indicates that I have a change that needs to be saved. So I'll go ahead and hit the save button. Okay. And this code, it says it's on form submit. So what that means is this code executes every time the Google form is submitted. Which is a little different than some of the other examples on this website that may execute when the file opens, or sometimes you can create a script that is associated with a menu command or an add-on or a button. But in this case, we want it to run automatically. We don't want the principal to have to click something other than just submitting the Google form, and then the script just kind of takes it over from there. So I can click run on this one and start executing it. But when I do that, something interesting is going to happen. Because this script is pretty powerful, it is actually composing an email on the principal's behalf or on the administrator's behalf, and it's sending the email automatically. That's kind of a security thing that we got to be careful with this because in the wrong hands, this power could be really bad. If you think about it, imagine if you had a hacker who could hack into your account and automatically send emails and made it look like they came from you. That would be a problem, possibly. So to kind of prevent that, there's some extra layers of security. When you write a script that accesses email, you're going to have to give permission. And we didn't have to do this in some of the simpler examples on this website, but anytime a script is going to do certain like special functions, like create a document, delete a document, rename a document, or in this case, send an email through Gmail, we need to give some extra permission. So I'm going to click Review Permissions. It's going to ask me to verify my identity just to make sure I'm really me. And then it's going to be specific about what permission the script has. Now, this Google automatically figured out what permissions it needed based on the script that I wrote. So it just kind of tagged it with this generic description: read, compose, send, permanently delete all email from Gmail. What? Wait, that sounds kind of serious. Well, not really. This is just a generic descriptor. If I click on the I button, it'll give me some more information. And these are like examples of what kinds of things that are in this category of permission. But the actual script that's on this example doesn't really do most of this. It doesn't delete email. It doesn't it doesn't read my emails, but it does compose new emails. It does send the emails for me. Sometimes you'll get these permission statements, and there'll be some extra stuff in there that the script doesn't really do. But it's nice that Google is trying to kind of err on the side of caution, I think, which is always a good idea, especially when you're dealing with tasks that are automated. So I'm going to click allow. And there we go. Okay, so now I'm executing it. I'm running the code, but it's still not going to be linked to the Google Form submission unless we set up what's called a trigger. So the triggers are found in this menu that has kind of like an alarm clock icon. And you need to tell Google that we want to execute this code when the Google form is submitted without having to go back to the spreadsheet and like clicking on something. That's inconvenient. We want this thing to deploy immediately. So I'm going to click this add trigger button in the bottom, and let's take a look. I want it to go on form submit, and this deployment should be on head and from the spreadsheet. Okay. For select event type, I want to change that to on form submit. So again, we're not running this script when we open the spreadsheet. We don't want to wait until we open the spreadsheet and then manually click the emails. That would kind of defeat the purpose. We want this to happen automatically. So we go on form submit. And then over here on the right side, we have failure notification settings. If your script doesn't work, if it throws an error code, how do you want to be notified? Well, you can be notified daily. That's kind of the default. But I actually like to get it immediately. If I try to send something and I'm expecting that email to be sent and it doesn't work, I want to know like right then and there. So I like to do immediate notifications. That's just kind of like my personal preference. So anyway, I'm going to hit save. And again, it's going to ask me to verify my identity one last time. So there's like several layers of security here. It's nice. It's nice to know that like if somebody was trying to hack my account, they would have to like get through all these steps, and they'd have to know my username and my password and everything. There you go. Okay, so I'm going to click allow on all those permissions. There we go. So now to reiterate, I've created the code and I clicked run. I had to verify some permissions then, and then I had to create a trigger because this code runs, it executes automatically when you submit a Google form, and I had to give permission for that. So there was like 4 different things I had to do that were special with this script, but now it's finally working. And the next time somebody submits a Google form that's associated with this spreadsheet, the email will just magically be sent. So hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and happy coding.